Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said that he's not trying to provoke the Indian government. However, he says he is seeking answers over India's alleged involvement in the murder of pro-Khalistan leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar. India has denied Canada's allegations, calling them absurd. In India, protests broke out in the northern city of Jammu. The protest leader said Trudeau is trying to shore up political support among Sikhs in Canada by blaming India for the murder. Meanwhile, Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said he discussed the row with Trudeau. The Canadian government has updated its travel advisory. The country has asked its citizens to avoid all travel to India's Jammu and Kashmir, citing security reasons. Meanwhile, a report has revealed that Canada worked very closely with the United States. This was to gather evidence that Indian agents had potentially been involved in the murder of Nijjar. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Russia is trying to manipulate global food supplies to create shortages. He also accused Russia of kidnapping Ukrainian children and also genocide in Ukraine. Zelensky said all this during an address at the annual UN General Assembly. A report says Ukrainian special services were likely behind a series of drone strikes in Sudan. They were conducted against a militia backed by Russia's Wagner Group. The report says that the operation was the work of a non-Sudanese military. The operation involved a series of attacks on the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group. The RSF is believed to be receiving assistance from Wagner in its fight against the Sudanese army. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu has said that he is seeking to re-establish constitutional order in Niger. This is to address political and economic problems in the neighboring country. Tinubu is the chairman of the West African bloc ECOWAS. ECOWAS has been trying to negotiate with the Niger military junta. The group has said that it's ready to deploy troops to restore constitutional order if diplomatic efforts fail. Reports say Houthi rebel negotiators from Yemen left Riyadh after 5 days of talks with Saudi officials. The talks were about a potential agreement that could pave the way to end the conflict in Yemen. Progress has reportedly been made on some of the main sticking points between the Houthis and Saudi Arabia. Hundreds of protesters gathered outside a government building in Armenia. They were protesting against the violence in Nagorno-Karabakh. Armenian police used stun grenades to dispel the protesters. Several people were injured during scuffles, while some protesters were also detained. Earlier, Azerbaijan sent troops backed by artillery strikes into the Armenian-dominated Nagorno-Karabakh region. This raised the threat of a new war with its neighbor Armenia. 2 Palestinians have been killed and at least 10 have been wounded in the city of Jenin. This was during clashes with the Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli military said a drone had struck Jenin but did not confirm the casualties. Opponents of the Iranian regime gathered outside the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday. They expressed their dismay over the regime's presence at the annual summit. Some protesters focused on Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi's political past in their demonstrations. One of the protesters said, and I quote, "He's a criminal and he should not have a seat in the United Nations." US President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, will plead not guilty to federal gun charges. Last week, Hunter Biden was criminally charged for allegedly making false statements while purchasing a gun. He was also accused of possessing a firearm at a time when he was still using illegal drugs. The new charges come after a deal between prosecutors and Hunter Biden collapsed in July. The leaders of New Zealand's 2 main parties went head-to-head in a televised debate. This was the first debate and comes ahead of the country's general election. The election is scheduled to take place in less than a month. Prime Minister Chris Hipkins and his main challenger, Christopher Luxon, used the opportunity to put forward their plans. They also argued over major election issues like rising costs of living, housing, climate change, and Maori healthcare. The International Criminal Court has disclosed a hacking incident. The ICC says it had detected unusual activity on its computer network at the end of last week. However, a spokesperson declined to comment on the seriousness of the hack, if it has been resolved, or who might be behind it. This marks a breach at one of the world's most high-profile international institutions. The ICC is the Permanent War Crimes Tribunal in The Hague. It was established in 2002 to try war crimes and crimes against humanity. Mexican doctors carried out laboratory studies on the remains of an alleged non-human being. The studies showed that the body belonged to a single skeleton and was not assembled. The laboratory tests have also shown that there was no evidence of any manipulation of the skulls. Last week, Mexico was presented with two tiny mummified bodies. These were said to be the remains of non-human beings. Leaders from all across the world met for the opening day of the 2023 Sustainable Development Goals Summit at the United Nations. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres delivered the opening remarks. He called upon countries to switch to renewable energy. The World Health Organization has said that floods, wildfires, drought, and extreme weather are driving a global health crisis. The crisis needs to be tackled with climate action. While speaking at a climate summit in New York, WHO Chief Tedros Ghebreyesus said that melting ice caps and rising sea levels are crucial issues but are distant threats. He added that the problem of changing climate is right here. Peruvian President Dina Boluarte has promised the creation of an international pact to tackle the effects of the El Niño weather phenomenon. She made the statement while speaking to world leaders gathered at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Boluarte called for increased collaboration to ease the effects of the weather phenomenon. Peru's central bank earlier said that the El Niño is a risk to the local economy and inflation. Pakistan's caretaker Prime Minister Anwar-ul-Haq Kakkar has called upon rich countries to fulfill their financial pledges to fight climate change. Kakkar made the comments while addressing a United Nations summit on sustainable development goals. He said that developing nations must fulfill their pledge to provide $100 billion annually in climate finance. Scientists say that climate change made the heavy rainfall that led to deadly floods in Libya up to 50 times more likely. The powerful storm caused 2 dams to break. Libya's eastern city of Derna was inundated. Thousands of people were killed. Scientists have warned that climate change pushes weather to new extremes. Australia is on high alert as it prepares for a summer bushfire threat. The New South Wales Rural Fire Service is hoping to destroy any fuel that a bushfire could consume. 4 years ago, Australia witnessed deadly bushfires. At least 33 people were killed. Swathes of land in southeastern Australia were destroyed. Weather experts say that Australia is yet to witness its hottest and driest period. They have termed this phenomenon Black Summer. Extreme plankton bloom in Thailand is threatening marine life and fisheries. Water in Thailand's Chonburi province has become dense and slimy. It smells of grass and dead fish. Marine animals like fish and whales eat plankton. However, in large amounts it becomes toxic. Scientists are exploring its potential links to climate change and weather patterns like El Niño. In business and tech news, the Asian Development Bank says that economic growth in developing Asia this year will be slightly lower than previously expected. This is because of China's weak property sector and risks due to the El Niño weather phenomenon. The ADB trimmed its 2023 growth forecast for developing Asia to 4.7% from 4.8% earlier. A full lengthy shutdown of the US government is likely at the end of this month. This is according to analysts at the investment management company PIMCO. The current funding for most US government programs expires on September 30th. If lawmakers are unable to pass a new budget by then, large swathes of government functions would shut down. Argentina's economy shrank 4.9% in the second quarter of this year. This marks the first time the country's growth was in the red since 2020. Argentina's agricultural sector registered the highest drop. It declined 40.2% compared to the same period the previous year. Walt Disney is boosting spending on its theme parks as it faces challenges elsewhere. The company has said it will nearly double its capital expenditure for the parks business to about $60 billion. It will do so over the next 10 years. This comes as the firm sees losses in the Disney Plus streaming business. Some workers within Amazon's hardware division say their morale is going down. This is amid staff cutbacks and a pipeline of devices in development. The division is responsible for making devices like the Kindle Reader and Echo Voice Assistant. It has largely been plagued by mass layoffs and key executive departures. The US Department of Justice is investigating Tesla. It's looking into the personal benefits that Tesla may have provided to its CEO, Elon Musk, since 2017. Officials have reportedly requested information about transactions between Tesla and entities connected to Musk. Meanwhile, Musk's SpaceX has countersued the US government. This is over an older lawsuit that was brought by the US against the space company. The US had accused Musk's firm of refusing to hire refugees, thus violating the US Constitution. In its new lawsuit, SpaceX argues that judges hearing the older case have not been appointed fairly. Elon Musk's brain chip company Neuralink will begin human trials of its brain implant for paralysis patients. The company says it has received approvals from an independent review board in the US to carry out the tests. Musk says Neuralink aims to treat several conditions including paralysis, obesity, autism, depression, and schizophrenia. Britain has urged Meta platforms to not roll out end-to-end encryption on Instagram and Facebook Messenger. The UK says this is to help protect children from sexual abuse. The country's Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, said she supported strong encryption for online users. However, she said it could not come at the expense of children's safety. The first edition of a biennial tech exhibition has kicked off in Brazil. The exhibition showcased 70 interactive works that fuse art and technology. It contained works such as light springs to explain quantum physics and robots with tentacles that react to human movements. Moving to sports. In cricket, grounds will have more grass and have bigger boundaries for the upcoming one-day International World Cup. The International Cricket Council has advised World Cup hosts India to make the adjustments due to the expectation of heavy dew. Damp fields give an advantage to teams that bat second. Cricket venues in northern and central India receive heavy dew during October and November. Bangladesh pacer Tanzim Hassan Saqib is being investigated by his country's cricket board. This is after fans reported his Facebook posts for being offensive and degrading towards women. According to his post, a working woman loses her charm and destroys her family. Tanzim Hassan Saqib deleted the post after facing criticism from fans and women's rights groups. In football, Spain's women's national team has forced protesting players to rejoin the squad. They were threatened with sanctions by Spain's Football Federation. Players Aitana Bonmati and Alexia Putellas were seen at a practice session after threatening to boycott earlier. However, protests in Spain continue after the World Cup kissing controversy. Manchester City beat Crvena Zvezda 3-1 in the UEFA Champions League group stage match. Osman Bukhari scored in the 45th minute, giving Crvena Zvezda an early lead. Man City came back in the second half as Julian Alvarez scored twice in the 47th and 60th minute. Rodri netted another goal for the Sky Blues in the 73rd minute to seal the victory. However, Man City's midfielder Bernardo Silva got injured during the game. He now joins 4 other injured City players on the sidelines. Barcelona had a commanding 5-0 win over Antwerp in their UEFA Champions League group stage match. João Felix scored for Barca in the 11th minute. Robert Lewandowski contributed with a goal in the 19th. Just 3 minutes later, one of Antwerp's defenders scored an own goal, adding to their woes. In the second half, Gavi netted the ball in the 54th. Then Felix scored for the second time in the 66th minute as Barcelona secured an easy win. French giants Paris Saint-Germain beat Germany's Borussia Dortmund 2-0 in their group stage game. Striker Kylian Mbappe scored on a penalty in the 49th minute. Achraf Hakimi delivered the second goal for PSG in the 58th. AC Milan drew 0-0 with Newcastle United in their Champions League bout. Despite firing 9 shots at the goal, Milan failed to put the ball in the net. Meanwhile, things got ugly between fans of the two teams. Italian police say one Newcastle fan was attacked and stabbed by 7 to 8 AC Milan fans. Officials have opened an investigation and are looking for suspects. Things turned ugly in the stands of yesterday's National Football League match in the US. A brawl broke out between fans during the New England Patriots and Miami Dolphins game. A father of 2 died after being punched and hitting his head on the ground as he fell. The fan, Dale Mooney, had not skipped a single Patriots home game in the last 30 years. Massachusetts police officials have launched an investigation and are looking for the suspect. In the Asian Games, the Indian men's volleyball team beat Cambodia 3-0 yesterday. This was in the group stages of the competition. India will next place South Korea. At least 19 Asian teams are competing in this year's Games. The Asian Games are being held in China's Hangzhou. For the first time ever, a MotoGP race will be held in India. However, some top riders are facing visa issues which has delayed their arrival. World number 5, the Aprilia rider Alex Espargaro, is facing a delay in getting his visa. Honda's Spanish rider Marc Marquez is also facing a delay. Organizers say the delays have been caused by technical issues. The MotoGP race will be held at the Budh International Circuit in Greater Noida, which is near India's capital New Delhi. The race is on the 24th of September. In entertainment news, trouble is piling up for comedian Russell Brand. In the latest, Brand's promoters have postponed his live gigs. Meanwhile, YouTube has suspended monetization on Russell Brand's channel. This comes after multiple women accused him of rape, sexual assault and emotional abuse. British police say they received another sexual assault allegation against the comedian. Brand has denied all the allegations. American activist Tim Ballard, who inspired the movie Sound of Freedom, has been accused of sexually harassing 7 women. Ballard has denied all the allegations and called them baseless inventions designed to destroy him. In June this year, he resigned from the anti-child trafficking organization that he founded in 2013. Actor Matthew Scott has revealed that he had to go for conversion therapy and shock therapy after he came out as gay. In a podcast, Scott said that he was 18 years old when he told his parents that he was gay. His parents apparently made him attend 3 hours of conversion therapy every week. Actor Stephen Fry has revealed that his voice from the Harry Potter audiobooks was taken by an artificial intelligence software and was replicated without his consent. He said that when he got to know about this, he sent it to his agents, who also had no idea that such a thing was possible. Fry added, and I quote, "It won't be long until full deepfake videos are just as convincing." Fry calls himself a proud member of SAG-AFTRA, a Hollywood actors union that is currently on strike to demand higher pay and protection from the use of AI. American actor Bijou Phillips has filed for divorce from her husband and actor Danny Masterson. This comes after Masterson was sentenced to 30 years in prison over rape. Phillips asked for the custody of their daughter and asked a court to arrange for spousal support. The couple had gotten married in 2011. Actor Kevin Costner and designer Christine Baumgartner have finally settled their divorce after a long battle. In the latest statement, the duo said they came to an amicable and mutually agreed upon resolution. The couple is separating after 18 years of marriage. Baumgartner filed for a divorce from Costner in May this year over irreconcilable differences. Actor Sylvester Stallone has described himself as the last of the dinosaurs. He used these words while reflecting on his career in the entertainment industry and how he survived amid an evolving cinematic landscape. He said, and I quote, "Society is changing, the commerciality in cinema is faster, so longevity would become a premium." Stallone made these statements during the world premiere of his biographical documentary called Sly. American actor Chris Evans has said that he might make a comeback as Captain America. In 2019, Evans had stepped down from this role after starring in Avengers Endgame. The 43-year-old actor had even thought of leaving the entertainment industry altogether due to severe anxiety. Rapper Travis Scott was questioned by authorities over a crowd surge at his Astroworld festival in 2021. Scott faced 8 hours of intense questioning in Houston in the US. The rapper is facing a series of lawsuits over this controversy. The festival, held 2 years ago, witnessed a crowd surge that left at least 10 people dead and numerous injured. Michael Jackson's hat that he wore on stage during his iconic moonwalk is up for auction. The auction will begin on September 26th in Paris. Michael Jackson's black fedora is expected to fetch between $64,000 to over $100,000.